Welcome to another edition of Saturday Sit Down, July 4th. We wish a very happy Independence Day to all of our American friends, and why not go down into the United States? Scottsdale, Arizona, we have Lethbridge Hurricane forward Ty Nash and his father, Tyson Nash. Gentlemen, how are we doing?
Really good, Forbes. How are you?
I'm doing well, You were telling me it's supposed to be 41 degrees there. We were supposed to have 31 here the other day, so kind of similar weather-wise.
Yeah, pretty close, just 10 degrees difference, but
yeah,
it's way too hot for me. So,
Tyson, what about you? How are things?
Things are great. You can tell by my skin tone that I'm taking advantage of the sunshine. I'm starting to look like an old catcher's mitt with eyes. So the sun's not helping out. I might need to take a break and get back up to Canada here soon.
Yeah, me too. I got the sun burn. I burn. I don't tan, unfortunately. So you look way better than I do. I look like a lobster. So there's that. Let's jump into it. I want to ask you, Ty, we'll start with you. How are things going? Obviously, the season coming to an end in the most odd of ways. How have you been since? And I imagine keeping healthy and busy.
Yeah, I've been really good. Things started to open up around here like May 15th-ish. So I've been working out and skating a lot, which, is a real big advantage for me because I know most of the Canadian kids in Edmonton and like some of my buddies in Fort Sask, like they haven't been able to skate or like get into gym. So, I think it's a big advantage being where I am right now. So yeah, it's been really good and things are going well.
So you've been skating and working on your game. How has that been?
Really good. Yeah, like I'm starting to become more confident. I'm skating with a few more junior guys and older guys. So, it's been really cool to see guys from other leagues like the WHL and all that, to see how all the Arizona kids come together and see how everyone's been and how they're doing. So it's pretty cool.
Tyson, what about you? You're always a pretty in shape kind of guy. Have you been skating and working out with the young buck there?
I've been trying. He will not let me on the ice. Unfortunately, I think I ruined that by my coaching a few years ago. I was like a Mike Keenan type of coach. So Ty has nightmares when he thinks that I'm going to join him on the ice. So I'm not allowed. But my good buddy Shane Doan has been running the skates and the practices for these young kids. His son Josh is out there, and like Ty said, there's some pretty amazing, talented kids, and all Arizona kids, which has been so nice to see. So the development process here in Arizona is surprisingly good, as you guys have seen with some American kids playing in that league.
Yeah, there's been a lot that have started to come up around Ty's age as well. Ty, maybe mention about that because I wanted to get into that a little bit later on. But Shane Doan, I mean, that's a guy that's revered in the Western Hockey League and had such a historic NHL career. What's it like being able to train and learn from him on a daily basis right now?
Yeah, it's super cool. Like I've been skating with him for the past 2 weeks and, he's been teaching me like little things that, I didn't know. And like, obviously a little bit different play styles between him being like 6'2", 200 pounds compared to me being a smaller guy. But, it's been super cool to learn. And, yeah, it's just been awesome to skate with him.
So you go home I guess middle of March after the season was abruptly ended. How nice has it been getting back home? And maybe talk about the experience your first year in the Western Hockey League as a 16-year-old leaving Arizona and coming to Canada and Lethbridge.
Yeah, it was a big change. My first few weeks I was a little nervous, a little out of place I felt, but as things started to go on, I felt better and better. And coming back here in Arizona and seeing all my buddies and being able to skate with my friends is pretty cool. But I miss Leth and I miss the season, so I can't wait for next year.
Tyson, what about you? How's it been having him back at home after close to 10 months away?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it was great. Not the way we wanted things to end for anybody, really. And for you guys there in Lethbridge, me as a fan and a dad, I was so pumped and so juiced up to watch playoffs and watch how Ty developed. I kind of saw his game really take a step in the last month and a half of the season. So I was really excited to see how he was going to handle the playoffs. It's another animal, as we all know. But for a 16-year-old to get that experience is so important. But obviously, it was wonderful having him home. Having everybody home. It's kind of like bonus time. Those kids wouldn't have been back. My daughter came back as well. She was at North Dakota playing soccer with the Fighting Sioux. So we got her back. We got the whole family under one roof. We've had a ton of fun around the dinner table at night. So we're enjoying, as bad as this has been, we're just trying to enjoy the family time.
What have you guys been doing to keep busy and have fun during quarantine when things were kind of a little bit stricter a few weeks and a couple of months ago?
Well, I'll just say this. Ty, he went away. He thought he turned into a man, and he's kind of barked up the wrong tree a few times. So we've had to take it outside into the backyard. We've had a few heated wrestling matches. So that's how we burn our energy and maybe some built up quarantine bad blood in the backyard.
Yeah. Ty, how'd you fare?
Pretty good. I think I had him for most of it, but in the end, his weight got to me and he kind of just threw me to the ground. But yeah, other than wrestling, I've been destroying him in cornhole. So easily, usually 11-0. Not very close games, but probably should just stick to hockey.
I want to roll the clock back, Ty. You're drafted in the 9th round in 2018 by the Hurricanes in the WHL Bantam draft. When you were drafted, what did you know about the WHL? I'm sure you had a bit of a intel on it, of course, with your father playing. But when you were drafted, what was the knowledge level like?
Yeah, I knew a little bit about the league and how my dad played in it. And, he had a lot of respect and, it got him in his career where he wanted to go in the NHL. And so, I knew it was obviously a great league. I didn't talk to Lethbridge before the draft or anything. Maybe my dad did, but I wasn't really sure. And so I didn't know anything about it. So, after I got drafted, I had to, look it up and see where it was. But, being from the States, I really had no clue. During that time, I didn't know what the provinces were or anything. So, coming here to Canada has been, a learning experience. So it's been pretty cool.
What about from a father's side as a WHL alumni? How cool was it to see your son get drafted, Tyson?
Oh, it was amazing. He talked a lot about the WHL and wanting to get drafted. So when it happened, obviously, even though it was late in the draft, it was really exciting for an American player. And obviously, I know the league inside and out as you do, and very familiar with Lethbridge, very familiar with the organization. Peter Anholt, long history in the league, and I think that's important as a father. To look at the organization as a whole, and because that's where your son's going to go, and you need to be confident. And I think that was a big part of why we allowed Ty to go there, was because we were so happy that it was Lethbridge. And obviously, knowing Peter and the coaching staff there, and it was just a no-brainer for us. And obviously, we couldn't be happier and more proud of Ty, a Scottsdale kid. It's a big jump. I know the Canadian kids where I grew up, but for him playing birth year hockey in Arizona, in Scottsdale, to make that step as a 16-year-old is it's impressive. It really is. There's not a lot of 16-year-olds. I think there's just a couple, American, 16-year-olds that played this year in that league. So very impressed.
Yeah, of course, one of them Ty's old teammates with the Regina Pats, right? I believe.
Jake Johnson.
Yeah. How have you seen, maybe Tyson, having played in Arizona with the Coyotes, to broadcasting with the Coyotes now, to now having a son that went through that hockey program, and now you're seeing guys come out of Arizona and a lot more down in Dallas area and too. How have you seen the game of hockey from the minor league level grow from when you got there as a player to now?
Well, I mean, I don't think a lot of people really know about hockey in Arizona. I mean, Scottsdale in particular. I mean, if you look at the history of it, I mean, there has been some studs. Austin Matthews, as you know, he's a Scottsdale kid, played in the program that Ty played in. Jake DeBrusque played a lot of his hockey. The Savage boys. I mean, there's Lemieux, Claude Lemieux's son. There's so many kids that have developed here in Arizona, and it's remarkable. These kids fit in. Like when Ty was in these summer camps in the USHL and some of the development camps, he's playing against kids from Chicago and Detroit, and you wonder how they're going to fare. And I mean, these kids are showing that they're as good as anybody out there in the American circuit, and obviously in Canada as well. So hockey in Arizona is it's pretty respectable. I coach for a number of years. I see these kids. We have a lot of good kids. We just don't have as many good kids like a Canadian team would. So your top, 6 forwards or 4 forwards are really good, but then there's a little bit of a dip and a decline after that.
Ty, what about you from the player side coming out of Arizona as a young guy now? How proud are you to see the steps being taken and you being, of course, at the front of it, along with, as you mentioned, Jake Johnson and so many other guys?
Yeah, it was really cool to see all my buddies this year, do really well in U16 and possibly play junior next year. And, like Jake too, like he did great this year, and, it was fun playing against him. So, it was pretty cool to see. And, with the ASU program and everything, things are just growing here, and it's really cool to see. So
for you, going from Scottsdale and Arizona and that hockey program to the Western Hockey League, the adjustment as a 16-year-old going away from home is always a difficult one. Factor in your first time away from home with the level of hockey and competition. How was it for you at the start? And your dad mentioned earlier, you started to kind of come into form a little bit later on in the season.
Yeah, at first I was a little nervous about like how I was going to do and, how preseason was going to go. But, and then I started to get a little homesick, but, I had some great billets this year, and, they really made it easier for me to fit in. And, we also had a great group of young guys and school guys, and, the vets also really helped and made it easier to transform and like move into the Western League. So, but yeah, when the season ended, I was starting to finally like catch my groove and get a little better. So, I was kind of looking forward to playoffs, and, it kind of sucked how it ended, but.
One of the highlights, of course, for every player is scoring their first goal in the league that they're playing in. And October 11th in Prince Albert, you scored your first goal. What was that? Was it relief when you got the first one? And what do you remember from that first goal, Ty?
Yeah, I think we were 7 games in or something. So, and I didn't have a point yet. So I was kind of starting to get a little worried. I wasn't playing my best either. I was just trying to, do the right things, play simple. But, Halsey made a great play. And when I scored that goal, just a lot of relief came off my shoulders. And, it was just so awesome. And, it sucked how we lost that game. But having that first goal, like after that, it helped me move on and do better the rest of the season. So
pretty good touch on that goal. Did he get that from you, Tyson?
You've seen my stats. Definitely touch there. I could chop the puck up into a million pieces quite well. I could dump it in. I could soft dump it, but I didn't have hands like that. So I think that comes from his mama.
How proud a moment was that from a father's standpoint, seeing that first goal?
Well, I was ecstatic, and I think Ty reminded me that it took me the last game of the season as a 16-year-old to score my goal, my first goal. So 7 games in, I'd gladly take that. So he's got the upper hand. I only scored 1 goal as a 16-year-old. I think he scored 6. So again, he's got me in that category. But we were so pumped. I was very lucky as well. I saw another goal that he scored in Regina. And then I happened to be there in Kelowna as well to watch him score again, and a proud moment to say the least.
Yeah, 6 goals on the season, 15 points. 5 of those 6 goals were scored on the road, Ty. Is it just the road meals that you like, or like what's going on there?
Yeah, I think I didn't even realize till you mentioned it like halfway through the season about how Like I hadn't even scored at home until that one Winnipeg game. So, I don't know what it was, but I think almost every game that my dad showed up to, I scored. So besides, I think one of the Regina games. So, it could be him just worried about getting ripped after the game or what, but I'm not really sure.
No car rides home now. I'm not allowed to get on the bus.
I remember when we were in Kelowna, and unfortunately, in hindsight, that was the last game of the season. But I remember we were on the bus, and I said to you, Ty, I said, "Your old man's going to be here. Are you gonna score tonight?" Of course, that was maybe your best game of the year, your first multi-point game. You had a goal and an assist in front of a lot of friends and family. Maybe we got to have your dad here a little bit more often during the breaks that he gets.
Yeah, definitely. Like, I mean, it was kind of just weird how it works out, but it was pretty cool to be able to have one of my best games of the season there with all my friends and family watching. So, it sucked that was the last game of the season, but it was really cool.
Tyson, I want to ask you about your time in the WHL as well, because you were part of that historic time with the Kamloops Blazers in the early 90s. You were a part of 3 Memorial Cup championships. What does the Western Hockey League mean to you, and how did it help you get to the level that you ultimately got to?
Well, first of all, I was very fortunate to play in an organization like Kamloops. The history that they had, the people that you're surrounding yourself with, Don Hay, Tom Rennie, Ken Hitchcock, Bob Brown, Stu McGregor. I mean, these are quality individuals. And, first and foremost, they taught you how to be a good person, how to be a good human being, how to be a good student, and ultimately what it took to win. And I learned at a young age, when you win as a team, it infects the entire locker room. And all of a sudden you start winning as a team, and your building is now full of fans. And then for a player that wants to get to the next level is full of scouts and general managers from the National Hockey League, because they want to see what's going on in Kamloops, what's going on in Lethbridge. I mean, you guys are going through it right now. You win hockey games, scouts and GMs, they want players on their team that know how to win. And those are the players that are going to get drafted, because you just can't teach winning at any level. And that's what I learned in Kamloops, what it takes to win, how hard you have to work on a daily basis. You can't just show up when you want. You can't turn it on and off like a light switch. That was beat into us. It was ingrained into us from Don Hay and Bob Brown, that you had to play a certain way every night. And if you did, you were going to have success. And we all had success. And so many guys got drafted. Forget the Memorial Cup. So many guys got drafted because we won and because we were winners. And that organization, I got to thank them for everything, because you don't get anywhere without a good team and good teammates.
When you hear your dad talk about that time, Ty, what goes through your mind? Because the Hurricanes are kind of in a position right now, and you mentioned earlier the young guys and the young core with the Lethbridge Hurricanes. Does it get you excited about the possibility of in the years to come with this franchise?
Yeah, it definitely does. Like we got a lot of O2s, and then me, Stringer, and Arneson, and then a few of the 18-year-olds too. So I think even this year, I think we have a great chance to win it and go to the Memorial Cup and win that too. And when my dad used to brag about his 3 Memorial Cups to me when I was 12 or 13, and I didn't know how hard it was to win a WHL championship, never mind the Memorial Cup trophy. I was just like, whatever. But now that I realize, it's pretty cool to see someone who went through that. And yeah.
When you were growing up, what was it like being around the NHL? When you were really young, your dad was playing, and then he turned to the broadcasting side. And I mean, we talked earlier about how Shane Doan is kind of working with you right now. You've kind of been at the forefront of the hockey world. How has that helped you grow as not only a person, but as a player as well to what you are now?
Yeah, being around hockey all my life, it's really helped me get better and, learn ever since I was 3 or 4 when I used to watch and, go to learn to skate. So, also having him with his connections and knowing guys like Shane Doan and helping me on the ice, it's awesome. And I think, those people and my dad have really helped me out over the past 4 or 5 years.
Do you still give advice to him on a regular, Tyson? And what was it like maybe having him as a young buck hanging around, I'm sure, dressing rooms in the rink?
Yeah, I probably give him more advice than he'd like. That's for sure. But I just can't help myself. But I think now it's just sitting back and enjoying it as a father and just, taking a trip down memory lane. I get to watch you guys on TV in HD quality. I get to listen to you, Forbesy, broadcasting the games. And it's pretty special sitting there, on the couch with the family, watching Ty on TV and watching the ups and downs. And there's so many of them as a young kid. Sometimes you forget that you're still 16, you're still 17 years old. I mean, those are tough years. Just again, as you mentioned, getting out of the house on your own, living with a different family, 13, 12-hour bus rides, going to school when you get off that bus, and then obviously competing against, adults. He played birth year hockey against 15-year-old kids, and now all of a sudden you're playing against 20-year-olds and 19-year-olds, and they want to take your head off. And I mean, you're just trying to stay afloat, and he did more than that. So again, very proud. But I miss those days when I was playing, having him as a little runt, wearing my jersey, running through the locker room and causing trouble, playing knee hockey, whacking Shane Doan's shins and Keith Kachuk and all these guys that obviously I played with in the NHL. So it was nice that he was able to learn and see what I went through as a player. And then, I think that helps you as a young hockey player because he's experienced a lot of it, even though maybe it wasn't directly an experience for him, but he watched me go through a lot of highs and lows.
You always hear fathers that played say they're more nervous watching their child play. Is that the same for you? Because I feel like when you played, Tyson, you probably weren't the most nervous guy going out for a game, given your, track record. Do you get nervous when you're watching Ty play?
Oh, absolutely. There's nothing like it. I think when you play, you feel like you have some control. I mean, you don't have any control when you're sitting there on your couch watching them, on that blue line, the national anthem's going. I got goosebumps. I want to jump out of my skin. And certainly when I'm there watching, that's a totally different experience when you're there firsthand watching and seeing how big some of these guys are and the speed of the game again. And but yeah, I get so nervous, every time he gets the puck, every time he goes in for a hit or whatever the case may be. So it's pretty special though as a dad, no question.
Do you get nervous, Ty, before games? You hear some players talk about, I grew up on the West Coast, and I remember Trevor Linden talking about how he would vomit before every game because he was so nervous. Do you get nervous?
For the first part of the season, I would. But, as games went on and I started to learn and become more confident, I wouldn't get as nervous anymore. And, nothing like that. I never vomited before any games or anything. But, first preseason game and first regular season game was probably I was the most nervous in my whole life. So, but besides that, no, I don't get too bad.
So maybe when you're nervous before our next wrestling match.
Yeah, well, you got to get that on videotape so we can see it. Ty, your dad mentioned about maybe giving too much advice. Do you take all the advice that he gives, or you're like, what do you know? Or do you try and listen to him as much as possible?
I try and listen to him as much as possible, but I also have a head coach that I have to listen to, and probably more important. So
good answer.
I take what he says, but I also have to listen to the coaching staff and what they have to say. So
talk about the coaching staff in Lethbridge, because it's a pretty good one. Brent Kissio, of course, the winningest coach in Hurricanes history, has coached for Hockey Canada. Jeff Hansen has coached for Hockey Canada. Andrew Doty is coach for Hockey Canada. Matt Anholt played. Josh McNevin was an NHL draft pick. How big of an impact did they have on you in your first year, and how nice was it to kind of have such a star-studded coaching staff at the helm?
Yeah, the coaching staff was great. Like, there were just a lot of experienced guys, and they really helped me learn. And at the start of the year, like, I wasn't great defensively, and that was one of my biggest weaknesses. But throughout the year, they taught me, and I also played like more than I would have thought. So them helping me develop over the year was really awesome. And it's just a great coaching staff, and I wouldn't want to be anywhere else.
So we mentioned earlier 15 points in your first year, which is pretty good for a 16-year-old. And I think Tyler Wong, who is one of the best Hurricanes of all time, had less points than that in his first year. So you're doing pretty good. What's the goal for next year? Because that 17-year-old season's always a pretty big one.
Yeah, I'll have a little bit more pressure next year. Like this year, I wasn't relied on too much to do much. It was my first year, and I had some leeway. But this year, I've got more pressure to, do better. And, I just got to come into camp and work really hard and earn my spot in that third and second line, and then maybe second power play, and, go from there. But, I'm hoping for 40 points this year, but, that's my goal, and that's what I want to get this year. So.
Is the NHL draft something that's on your radar for next year, with it being your draft year?
Yeah, it definitely is. That also adds to the pressure. Got to play good every game and work hard, and just in case there's some scouts in the stands. So that's definitely on my mind next year, and I'm looking forward to it.
Will you lean on guys like Dylan Cousins? Of course, he went through that process, being a first-round pick. I mean, your father was an NHL draft pick, Kalen Addison, who you played with last year. Will you lean on guys like that?
Yeah, I'll probably have a lot of questions going through the process, and like I said, they're great like vets, and some guys I've became really good friends with over the years. So guys like Alex Scott, who's probably going to get drafted this year, and Dylan Cousins, I can ask them questions, and they're really nice, so they'll give me any answer I need.
Tyson, from a player's perspective, you went through that year when it's your draft year and all that kind of extra, I don't want to say pressure, but it kind of is, but extra attention maybe is the right word. What do you do from a player's standpoint to try and maybe just focus on hockey itself?
Well, I think that's a great question, because I think a lot of times when you put that pressure on you and that's your sole focus is to get drafted, it can sometimes bubble over, and you got to stay focused. It's a process. It really is. And obviously I'm 45 now. I've been through everything there is to go through in hockey. So it's easy to say that now, but looking back, you realize that you just have to focus one day at a time, one practice at a time, get better every single day. And when it comes to the games, just lay it all out on the line. Every game, every night, work as hard as you can, try to contribute, be a good teammate, and, be the hardest working guy on the ice. And if you do all those things, somebody's eventually going to notice, and you will get drafted. And I'm excited for this year for Ty to see what he's capable of. Like I said, the last month of the season, he was really starting to come on. Obviously to be expected, didn't get a ton of ice time, but hopefully he can earn some more time next year and play some bigger minutes. And, with that comes big responsibility. And I know we've talked a lot about it, and he's frothing at the mouth to get going. He's one of those kids that's pretty lucky right now, being in Arizona. He's on the ice sometimes twice a day, but for sure 5-6 times a week. He's in the gym every day, so he's doing his part right now to make sure when that puck drops next year that he's the best he can be.
You pretty excited for next year in training camp come hopefully September, Ty?
Yeah, I'm really excited, to get back with the guys again and see all of them, and also just see how the team's going to turn out next year. And, I'm ready for that first game and first preseason game to prove that, I can be a big player this year and earn some more minutes. So
I know there's a lot of excitement around here to hopefully, get to training camp and have a season here. Of course, there's a lot of excitement about the NHL, and I'd be remiss, Tyson, if I didn't ask you, but being the color commentator for the Arizona Coyotes on Fox down there in Arizona, how excited are you about the possibility here of getting things going again in July?
So pumped up. As everyone knows, I'm gonna have to learn to speak here real quick too if I'm broadcasting these games. But July 10th, training camp starts. All the guys are down here skating. They're going through the workouts, getting back into shape and ready to drop that puck. I believe in early August. So the Coyotes will be taking on the Nashville Predators, for everyone watching if you don't know that, in a best-of-5 series, and it's going to be one heck of a series. I love the format. I know it's not fair for everybody, but hey, we are where we are, and I think everybody right now is just so excited to have hockey back on their TVs.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it for sure. I think it's going to be we'll kind of have the Arizona feel up here in Canada, being able to watch hockey in 20, 25 degree weather. It's going to be like regular life for you guys, but this is going to be a treat for all of us.
I'll be calling the games in my Speedo, Forbesy, so sorry to give you that visual, but
Suit on top, party on the bottom, right?
just like the hair. Business in the front, party in the back.
Oh, man, this is fantastic. Can't wait to see you, Tyson, on TV calling NHL here around the corner. And Ty, very much looking forward to you getting back here in the Windy City and hopefully having a big year next year. Tyson Nash, Ty Nash, happy 4th of July, and thanks so much for doing this.
Yeah, of course. Thank you, Forbesy.
All right, there's the Nashes from Scottsdale, Arizona. Again, a happy Independence Day. A happy 4th of July to all of our American friends. That's another edition of Saturday Sit Down. Hope you enjoyed it.